ask Osama to also give us a detailed introduction of your work.
Detailed introduction in 3 minutes. Okay, so my introduction is that, you know, I love my wife a lot, and my daughter and my mother and my sisters. And that's the reason why we have a wisdom to have 80% of our grassroots worker are women. And I was just thinking about WIDEF. I was thinking we have polluted internet in the last 30 years, and we have totally dominated by social media. And now the technology is dominated by AI, and we need women intelligence rather than, you know, artificial intelligence. Right? Yeah, I really mean that the real wisdom comes from home, and the home is always where, you know, woman is a leader, and home doesn't mean that you cook really, you know, the food at home, but the real wisdom is with women, and if you work with them, it you know, works very well. And that's my introduction, because when we started Digital Empowerment Foundation about 21 years back, which was 2002, and now we have 400 people, and we have 2,000 locations in villages. Over a period of time, we learned that, you know, you need to really work very strongly, you know, with your ideas and your innovations, which should have an input and the leader in the woman. And when Rick was talking today in the morning and he was saying that I'm a traditional person and I feel like the old internet and all that, and I was thinking that we are not really doing a favor to women by making them included for digital. We are doing a favor to digital to save digital revolution by having women, you know, to save the digital world and digital revolution and technology, because it is extremely dominated by men and patriarchy and the forcefulness, which is very physical rather than psychological and emotional and mental. And you cannot really survive this dominance of technology in a way that it is going. And you need a woman intelligence to bring it. So it's really not a digital inclusion for women. It is the woman inclusion to save digital revolution. Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, and we have examples. We have about 10 programs in India. All of them are led by women, and all of them are doing wonderful. You know, it requires less accountability. It is natural responsibility. You know, there are more deliverables. You have less M&E because, you know, you don't have to check too many data. And in the world of misinformation and fake news, they are the information trustees whom you can trust. They forward less and, you know, process more, that what is good for my family and what is good for my community and what is good for us. You know, and most of these things have really worked out with research data. I'm saying, I'm not even, you know, Sonia, you have seen those research papers, that it shows that if you work with women at a grassroots level, all you need is how to do a digital inclusion with a contextual and relevance and appropriated technology usage as a communication tool and not as a technology. So that's my introduction, actually, that we are in good safe hands, and here we are. I'm also in safe hands because there are 3:1. So you know, 3 wisdom and 1 carrier. So hopefully it will take to the right direction.
You are working with women in India. We hear a lot of amazing innovations coming out of India right now, especially around digital inclusion. I'm curious to know, you know, with WIDEF having always put women at the center, women and girls at the center of the work that you do, how are you ensuring that women in rural areas, in particular, we are hearing that the urban-rural divide is actually widening, and then coupled that with the gender divide. How are you ensuring that women in far and remote areas, rural areas, and girls are at the center of being able to access the technology as well as the internet?
Yeah, so just to give you a little perspective that several programs that exist on ground, including governance or business or education, in each sector, there are existing women domination. For example, what is famously called as self-help groups, which is basically at a grassroots level you create women group to do business. There are 240 million women are there, already identified. They represent about 12 million groups. But the point is that are we considering them as a lead in our policy is the question. Similarly, we have 52 versus 48 percentage school teachers in a school program, all the rural schools, all the government schools. We have more women teachers than male. But the point is, are we targeting them to have digital literacy first or the male first? Or are they responsible for taking responsibility? Is the question that we need to ask at a policy level, right? That's what we are not doing. Similarly, we go to health sector. Health sector, we have 2.5 million health workers, frontline health workers, who actually are responsible for all the health deliveries on the ground. But the point is that are we making digital policies by their inclusion? We are not. So I can go on and on in every sector. There are domination. For example, village councillors in India. There are 1 million elected village councillors out of 3 million. 1/3 are by law, but they are proxies. They are not directly representing. But if we make a policy that all the ground level delivery of entitlements will happen only through the elected women members through digital inclusion, then it will affect some way or the other. So, that is exactly what DEF does. When we go on the ground, we go to such already identified elected people or the people who are there, maybe non-functional, but they are there. They have some kind of hold in the community. And then we include digital, have training and capacity building, and then we drive them to drive the rest of the things. So they become the digital trustees or digital leaders or skilled, and they drive the rest of the delivery on the ground. And what I am saying, it becomes very potent, because the more underdeveloped districts you go or underdeveloped areas you go, the more better you will have delivery by the women better, because that is where the dependency on women are much more higher, even then the functionality is not there. The third thing is that you make the scheme or the program already announce that it is only meant for women. Then half the patriarchy decision is done. Because you say, oh, my mobile is only available for women. You just make it announced. So, because the male will come, he say, give it to my son, give it to my husband, give it to my, brother. But you say, no, the program is not for you, and there are another, poor villages are here in the neighborhood. We will go there if they agree. And they immediately agree, okay, you give it to my, daughter or sister. And that's the first step. So you are not fighting patriarchy head on, but you're saying the scheme is not meant for you, The program is not meant for you. It is decided already that this money is only meant for the pocket of the woman, And you can do that because as per the data, 33% of all the transaction made in the last year recorded on UPI, or for that matter online transaction in India. By the way, that itself is very, very less to the total internet penetration, which is 130 million. Only 33% transaction were done by women, which clearly says that meaningful penetration of digital is not happening, because that is a very good sign. When you do transaction, you have already understood to take chances to do online things. So my advice and take in this one is that it's very important that we do not consider a woman as a beneficiary and consumer to fight digital divide, but woman as a strategic partner in decision making and part of the plan, and an enabler rather than the recipient. Because when you are considering them as a recipient, the decision is already taken by the people where the input is not by the woman, and that is the biggest danger that we are passing through in most of the policies.
That's awesome. So women-centered, mainstreaming gender even in ICT policies, so that we start with women first. I think that gives us a really great segue to just give us just some quick thoughts about what you think WIDEF should do differently.
There's one question, and I hope I don't mispronounce her name, from Alice Kimani from Kenya, working in the Ajira digital program. She's asking what strategies or initiatives have shown the most promise in closing the gender digital divide, and how can we ensure that they're effectively implemented and sustained?
I think some of the advice is that we should just spend the money faster than 4 years, or 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not kidding, because when you are sitting on money, decision-making process takes longer than the destination of the money, So that's one of the advice. The second is that, are we counting that what are we going to achieve purely in numbers? For example, in our organization, we count every year that per people impacted doesn't cost more than 100 rupees. 100 rupees, really. I mean, now in terms of conversion, about $1. And from that perspective, I was calculating that if $60 million doesn't affect 60 million women, to be part of the game, then, it's not worthwhile.
Scale and impact.
Yeah, and I was actually when it was announced, I posted on LinkedIn saying that can this money impact 600 million? But it's all about a strategy. How do you really make the strategy in such a way? And that is the reason why perhaps one of the approaches is to strategy, policy, and planning in such a way where you have an inclusion. The third is everybody who is part of this money should travel. Don't sit here. Just travel. Travel the places. Go to the places where you want to create an impact. Take time out. No wisdom will come sitting in New York, and Washington. I'm being very honest, the more you travel where you want to spend the money and impact, the more wisdom will come, and it will also give you ideas how you can do much more economically and much more effectively.